Broncos general manager George Paton said no teams have reached out about Russell Wilson. There's clearly no market right now, guys, for Russell Wilson, who we all expect to not be a Denver Bronco.
Does that include NBC? Because Russell Wilson could fit in right on the table right here.
We're getting a little crowded.
Come on.
We're getting a little crowded.
Yeah,
right.
It's a little strange that there's no interest whatsoever in Russell. Russ was fine.
It's got to be the
agree
money. I would think the money.
I think it's the money. It's got to be the money. I think my guess is most teams would be like, he's going to get released, and then we can take a shot at him.
For half the price.
For half the price. Yeah, exactly. That's what it's got to be. Because I agree with you. Like, Russell Wilson is fine.
Yeah. He was, I believe last year that he was 18th in EPA per play, 18th in PFF grade, which makes sense because by the eye test, he was about the 18th best quarterback in football. You see the odds provided by DraftKings. The Steelers are minus 225 to be the landing spot for us. The Broncos are distant at 7-1, and then the Raiders, Falcons, and Patriots are the other teams in that mix. I mean, the Steelers, I think they do make sense. It feels like a Steelerish thing. I know there is the talk of, Kenny Pickett versus Mason Rudolph in camp. That feels like a battle that no one wins and America loses. But Russell Wilson, he would be an upgrade over both of those guys.
He would, and the Steelers going and getting a veteran is the route I think they're going to go rather than look in this draft again. They don't want to add another young quarterback and have to wait through that and deal with all of that. So when it comes down to it, it'll be a Russell Wilson, a Jacoby Brissett, a player like that. And for the Steelers, what we saw last year, that's an upgrade and would be great for them.
I will say it's interesting.
You're very distracted, by the way. We were actually getting worried.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. There's no need to apologize.
Well, that's one of the things. We're live at the Combine, and so people are walking around and everything like that. And, and honestly, what you were saying wasn't all that interesting. So,
you don't even know what we were saying. That's the best part.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree with Jay that America loses if it's made Mason Rudolph.
It's my Alien versus Predator thing of whoever wins, we lose.
Yeah, 1,000% there. It does feel like a kind of Steelers thing to do because the Steelers almost, the Steelers were very competitive despite the fact that they got almost a zero from the quarterback, right? The quarterback position, and so. Getting Russell Wilson would be an upgrade for them. And they also, again, they have a pretty good defense. They need to improve the offensive line, but it's getting better. They have a good run game. They have skilled position players, in the passing game. They'll have Jonnu Smith soon. So
that team going 10-7 last year is a miracle of modern science.
Of course.
That team was terrible. They were losing games at home to the Patriots and the Cardinals in the back end of the season while they're in a playoff race, and they somehow still scrape in at 10-7.
The Tomlin special.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, but that's my point. Like, so I mean, if it's a 10-7 team, that division is tough. They got lucky, but with Russell Wilson, that's probably an 11-win team, maybe.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, the defense is really good. They've always had weapons on offense. The offensive line is getting better. Yeah, and I think Russ is a significant upgrade over what they got. Well, he's an upgrade over what they had last year.
All right, another quarterback out there in the free agent market, Kirk Cousins of the Vikings, of course, and we actually got to hear from Kevin O'Connell on Pro Football Talk yesterday on the idea of bringing Kirk Cousins back and hoping he's back. Take a listen.
Anytime free agency is involved, we can have plans, and Kirk knows, how I personally feel about him. He knows how our organization feels about him. I believe Kirk wants to be a Minnesota Viking. I do believe that. I've had some great dialogue with him pretty much weekly throughout the offseason, leading into kind of as we step foot in Indy for the Combine. But there's a process, Mike, that's got to play out. And I think if for us to, be able to get to the place where we can come to an agreement and have Kirk Cousins as our quarterback moving forward, which is what, I would love to see happen, we're going to have to find that space, that common ground. But ultimately, knowing both parties want the same outcome, I do believe, I feel strongly we're going to be able to get something done. I do believe that, Kirk knows how we feel about him. And I think at this point he's earned the right for what's going to transpire over these next few days and weeks. But my confidence is still strong that we're going to have an opportunity for Kirk to be a Minnesota Viking.
So 100% unequivocally, you want him back?
I do want him back.
Nice land there by Florio to really drive that home. I mean, seriously.
But what you guys don't realize, I think some people realize, Florio's like a diehard Vikings fan.
Yes.
So there's the underlying thing is basically, because I don't. Like, I feel like what he was saying is like, so unequivocally you want him back? Because I don't think the fans do or whatever. Like, whatever. I feel like there's definitely some bitterness there in Florio's question there. I think that's the right move for the Vikings.
100.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There's no one else better.
There's
Kirk
no one
Cousins
else
is playing
better.
Like a MVP ballot type of level. Like, he was playing like the 5th, 6th best quarterback in the league.
Yes, he was.
Playing the best level of his entire career. And you saw the drop-off afterwards. It was an absolute catastrophe after the Josh Dobbs kind of renaissance ended. And I still don't know why they didn't start Josh Dobbs down the end of the season. I think he would have given them a better chance to win than Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall. But, yeah, I think that the Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall experience kind of reminded perhaps the Vikings what they were missing in Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and when you look at it, they don't have a top 10 pick, so you're not drafting a guy and just throwing him into the fire right away. It really is the best way. It's a bridge move, but a very good bridge. It's not a typical bridge
But
player.
by the way, again, play it out. Right. They don't have the draft capital likely to move to get May or Daniels or Williams, all right?
Exactly.
So now you're weighing, okay, Kirk Cousins or Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy, right?
Right,
Like
that's what you're dealing with.
Right.
McCarthy needs to sit.
Yes.
So even if you love him, you need a quarterback for any of those teams thinking about taking it.
And then you sit there and go, okay, well, who could we get on free agency? Like Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields. You'd rather Kirk Cousins.
Right.
You know, like
Familiarity.
He's been in that system, right? You know.
He's just better.
He's
as
just
well.
Right, he's better
At this
quarterback.
point in their careers, 100%, he's better. Kirk Cousins versus Russell Wilson. You'd rather Kirk Cousins. Like, I mean, like, you know, you go down the list here and like, who else you getting? You know, so Kirk Cousins or Sam Howell, okay, that's a fair argument.
Sure.
But future Hall of Famer Sam Howell. But other than that,
I think people forget this now, but with the way that Cousins was playing, with how much Brian Flores' defense overachieved, like, you could make a case that the Vikings could have been the second best team in the NFC last season behind the Niners if Cousins was healthy. So I think, yeah, you just bring him back, you run it back, they'll have a good chance. The division is kind of sneakily loaded now, where there's not really a weak team.
I agree.
It'll be the Bears with Caleb will be the weakest team in that division, and they still had an amazing defense.
They're coming,
and they have
though.
upside.
Yeah.
So they're
right.
coming. So loaded division, but yeah, you need Kirk Cousins to go to war in that division.
yeah, I mean, by the way, and the Vikings defense at the beginning of the year, like, it struggled. It was taking them a while to figure out Flores' system, but by the second half of the year, like, the defense
It's great.
was playing really well.
They shut out the Raiders. You can score a point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They shut out the Raiders, who then the next week put up 70
Exactly.
or whatever, 64 or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, that's the right move. I think Kevin O'Connell's got the right thing. And my guess is that gets done some way, somehow.
It's logical for both sides.
It is. You know, I know O'Connell and Cousins are close. Obviously, they work together in Washington. Long list of coaches that were on the Washington staff.
You guys have quite the alumni.
It's unbelievable. But you know, they've spent time together. They're very close. Like, you get to throw in a dome to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, like, and T.J. Hawkinson.
Eventually
like,
Hawkinson, yeah.
I mean, like, it's a pretty good list. There. One other thing I'll just say, as long as we're talking about O'Connell, real quickly, I asked him on the podium about how he. From the podium, I asked him, and I put this out on X, Twitter, his answer. But I asked him about the run game. Like, how did he view the running back room? He started with Ty Chandler. You can go see the whole answer on my Twitter feed at Matthew Berry TMR. But in essence, he gave some lip service to Madison and some of the other guys, and you know, you're always looking to improve, blah blah blah. But a lot of effusive talk about Ty Chandler. Like, the Vikings running back you're going to want next year is Ty Chandler.
Yep.
And it's the guy we feel like they should have rolled with a lot this year.
Yeah,
it took long enough.
He
right?
talked about the fact that, like, he's going back, he's watching all the cut-ups and everything like that, and he just feels like Chandler, in terms of the explosiveness, the what he brought in the passing game, like, just, he's like, even things that don't even show up statistically, but just, you know, a key block here or something like that, or fighting for an extra yard, or, you know, just, anyway, he's a Ty Chandler fan.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.